Yo, what's up guys, Nate here, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out some new features in the upcoming 2.1 update for Yuhi's Hive. It's in beta right now, so there might still be one or two bugs here. If you are interested in getting involved in the beta, I'll leave a link in the comments where you can grab the beta files from the KVR developer forum for Yuhi. That said, there's a bunch of new features in here we're going to take a look at, some new filters, a bunch of other little tweaks here and there, as well as a new skin and UI. So let's dive in, we're going to check that out. Before we do, please make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe if you are enjoying this content. Also hit that notifications bell so you know when we've got new videos on the channel. We're going to dive in, maybe create some sounds and stuff, and just kind of fiddle around with this update. Let's check it out. Right, here we go. This is the new skin that ships with the 2.1 update. So this is actually done by Plugmon, who is responsible for the Neumann skin that I use on my copy of Zebra 2, as well as the skin I'm using on Diva. I really love this guy's stuff. He actually adds a lot of extra functionality. It's not just a sort of cover for the original plugin interface. It fundamentally changes a lot of how this works. Through actual coding. It's not just graphical elements. So he's been actually brought in to officially update this skin. We'll jump back to the original one. You can see there's the original skin, and we'll play around with the new Ismo skin just to kind of get the lay of the land here. So before we get started, we just got a default patch going there. You can see our shape sequencer in the middle here. There's no way to flick between the effects and stuff like you had in the middle normally. All that is now down at the bottom here. So if you've got the keyboard, you can flick between the XY pads, the scope, and the scope has been changed around a bit as well. There's some interesting new things in here that you can actually route. You can route modulation data to inputs on these scopes, very much like you would in a modular. This is the mod matrix now, so you can kind of see where all the modulation is going, and the FX. You can sort of reroute things here on the left and enable them by turning them on there. And that's all your effects, all the controls. So there's a few little hidden bits and pieces we're going to check out as well. Let's just check out the new filters first. So they've brought the sideband filter from Zebra, which I really like in Zebra. You're going to check it out inside of Hive now. We'll just run. So we've got our two oscillators here, oscillator 1, oscillator 2, and the sub-oscillators underneath here. The oscillator mixer, which determines sort of which filter these go into, is in this middle section here between the two of them. And I kind of like this layout. It kind of makes sense to me. It will take a little bit of getting used to, but I think it's pretty cool and has a lot of potential. Let's take a listen to the sideband filter first. And let's bring down the cutoff. You get this really kind of cool phasing occurring with the cutoff being set quite low. So that's obviously just a saw wave going through the sideband filter. Really, really nice. And we've got a mix adjustment there as well. Cool. Let's take a look at a few of the other filter types. We've got the reverb. Let's bring the mix up full. Get something really low down there. Very cool for effect stuff that. We've got a dissonant filter now as well. quite cool for creating sort of percussive sounds. And then also the comb filter as well. They're all kind of similar-ish, but very nice additions to an already great synth. Of course, these can also be tracked by the keyboard as well. And then these can be done in serial as well. So we can actually route the output of this comb filter now to, let's say, a low pass on the second filter. Sorry, that is to solo. If we enable it there and disable this one. There you have it. So very much the same functionality as before. It just takes a little bit of getting used to where everything is here. But like I said, I do kind of like the layout of this. For me, it actually makes a little bit more sense, kind of grouping these the way that they were instead of having them sort of running vertically down the synth. So I'm going to just reset this again. Another really cool thing that I like that's kind of made its way over from the Neumann skin for Zebra is the sequencer page. So we'll just take a look. We've got our LFOs and stuff here. These can, just like before, be dragged to modulate stuff. Same goes for the function generators. I'll just also mention that down at the bottom, we click here, we've got some mod sources that we can drag in as well. So we can, these are the modulation slots, and we can just sort of drag that to wherever we want to go. Automatically insert those into the mod slots, which we have here. But let's get a sequence going. So you might notice that the ARP page is kind of missing. To get to that now, we're just going to click on this little button here, and the sequencer will pop up. Same goes for the shape sequencer. If you want to edit your shapes, you can do that in this now dedicated window over here. And let's just jump back to our sequencer again. Now we have like a full sort of MIDI note display, which is a lot easier to work with than the values that we had before on the old one. So like I said, exactly the same as Neumann. This is one of the features that I really like in that skin. So our time base and clock stuff is down here, as well as the arpeggiator and the sync. Set that to 16th notes. Let's set this to run, and we'll dial in a little sequence. Cool. Let's just start playing around with some of the modulation stuff as well. What I do want to show you is one of these sort of hidden features that they've sort of hidden away under the mod matrix section. If we go and let's say just assign one of our mod matrix slots to the filter, and we're just going to put that into filter 1. Let's give it a little bit of an envelope. Actually seems to be backwards. That might be a little bug that needs to be ironed out. Ah, it's not a bug. It is, in actual fact, an LFO that I'm playing around with there. So there's a few things that take a little bit of getting used to. I should have actually noticed that the blue is colored as the LFOs. If I wanted to do a mod envelope, I should have in fact been dialing up this one. So let's jump into the modulation matrix again. So here where we have filter cutoff, this is one that I assigned. I'm actually going to change this to filter 1. Let's change this to spread. So this is a new feature in 2.1. It actually adjusts the spread for the filter, so you'll have positive and negative amounts of cutoff on the left and right channel independently. Let's assign an LFO to that. So we'll stick LFO 1 and let's just set the rate to about quarters or something. So listen to what happens as we dial this one up now. And let's turn off the gate. We'll set that to sync mode instead. And check this out. Pretty cool. It's a bit like in Vital, where you've got sort of independent settings for the left and right by using the stereo mode with some of the modulation. It does pretty much the same thing. And I believe there's spread functionality now. There's panning functionality for the effects section as well. But they're also kind of hidden away in the mod matrix here. So if we say, for instance, let's go and assign a reverb and a delay. We'll just turn those two on. Delay, and where's our reverb? We can reorder these. Just add in some extra sub onto this as well, maybe. Okay, so we should be able to actually assign some panning controls to. Let's jump back into the mod section again. Just bear with me, it's taking me a little time to get used to the new layout here. So we'll go with LFO 1 again, and let's assign that to, we could have actually just assigned to the secondary one here. Let's do that there. We'll check out the delay. And you now have panning controls for this as well. So we can do that on the reverb as well. So let's actually bring that reverb right up. Cool, let's play around with some more on the sound. We might try and get some of those other filters in here now. Let's maybe try adding in another oscillator here. And for this one, let's maybe go with a wavetable. And run that through filter 2. So oscillator 2. And let's check out the other filters here. We can also solo these now just by clicking there. Notice you've got a wavetable knob here now as well, so you can scan through the different tables. I kind of wish they'd add this for the pulse width on the pulse wave as well. That one you still need to use the constant functionality down at the bottom if you want to set that statically. Otherwise you need to assign an LFO to change the pulse width modulation. Let's get some modulation on that one. And let's go with a dotted number for this. We'll go with, let's go with, and let's check out what the comb filter's doing. actually use this one to rather go quite slow with that one. So yeah, we had the sequencer one. Let's just pop into the shape editor again, and we'll draw in some shapes for this. In actual fact, what we can do is rather use a random source. We'll use random on this cutoff here, just to get a little bit of random movement on that main filter cutoff. And we should have all the ability to make this unipolar here as well. There we go. If we just set that to unipolarize, it'll only be moving up now instead of coming down with the cutoff. So go from that point all the way up to up there with the random amount. Let's get some stereo panning on that second filter as well. We'll just use the alpha 1 again and route that to filter 2 and the spread amount, and let's see what happens there. Too distorted for me. Let's grab that random amount as well and assign that to the filter. So the cool thing with these being along the bottom here now is we can actually just grab this random one instead of having to switch between the modulation matrix and the effects. Now just grab this random dot that we have down at the bottom here. That's the random modulation source, and we can click and drag that onto the rate, for example. So now if we pop back there, you'll see rate is in there. We can unipolarize this one too. So another one of the new features now, you can see when you actually are grabbing the modulation amounts in here, they actually highlight on the page. You can see the green source highlighted there and the green on the cutoff there now. Same goes for if we adjust this one, for example. You can see these automatically light up and show you which modulation is occurring in the synth at any given time. Then I just wanted to show you the scope as well, because yeah, this was pretty cool. I just mentioned it briefly, but let's just plug in some of our modulation sources into our scope quickly. So we've got these sources here. We can take, let's say, for instance, our LFO 2. We'll plug that into the scope. So very much like a modular setup, you can see exactly what you're doing with your modulation now, what it's going to be affecting. So we can change the rates, for example, speed that up. We can change to a random glide, for example. It's just really nice to kind of get a visualization of what's occurring here, especially when you start modulating sources with other sources, say for instance using the function generators, which sometimes are not all that clear to see what you're doing. Now you can quite clearly get a sort of representation of what's occurring with these as you adjust the settings. So you can see there the function generator now being triggered by the LFO, which is then triggering this envelope that we have set up here with the different slopes and things. It's always been, it had the same functionality before, but now it's a lot easier to kind of visualize what you're doing just by plugging it into the scope, like you would with any kind of modular synth as well. Currently, I know there is a bug with this, though. If you are going to be using this in projects, I'd suggest make sure that you don't save the project with any modulation plugged into the scope currently, because that can actually result in a crash when you load your project, and you're not going to be able to get into that again. In that case, you probably have to remove Hive completely from the system, start it up, and then replace it again afterwards. So just fair warning, you use that, but don't save that in your projects until this is released. As you know, it's beta, so there are bound to be a number of bugs still as they iron this stuff out. That's pretty much it. There's a few other little tweaks here and there, but I think for the most part, these are pretty cool additions to one of my favorite synths. I love working with this. I love programming with this. If you want to check out some of my sounds, feel free to head over to www.marillamusic.com. I do have a bank available for Hive 2 as well. So go check that out. Right, that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, check the comments below for the link if you want to get involved in the beta. It always helps. Go and leave some feedback in the comments at the Hive forums. I will catch you guys again soon right here at Marilla Music. Take care. Cheers.